Welcome to Ask Amy About Wine, a Facebook Live show dedicated to help you build confidence in buying and tasting wine. I will help you discover your palate through wine recommendations, and I will help you explore new wines through regions you've never thought about tasting before tonight. If you want to save time the next time you go wine shopping, whether it's online or in store, then grab your glass and let's learn and taste together. On tonight's show, I will be discussing 3 red wines that you should be tasting for the winter season. First, I will go through my wine recommendations, and then I will have a live Q&A session. I will answer your questions that you have for me, and feel free to comment and ask questions throughout the show because I will be able to share your comments live. While I share the wine I'm drinking tonight, please feel free to say where you're tuning in from. We are streaming live tonight through Facebook and YouTube. Tonight, I'm drinking a Bergstrom 2016 Cumberland Reserve Oregon Pinot Noir. This wine is deep garnet, and for body, I'm going to say medium. On the nose, I smell earthy notes, which is very popular with Pinot Noir. It smells like a wet forest floor, and I know it's hard to describe, but the next time it's raining, go on a little walk, whether it's in a nearby park or if you have a wooded area, then you'll know what I'm speaking about. I'm also picking up some red fruits as well. On the palate, dried cranberries and red fruits, tart, medium minus tannins, medium alcohol, maybe ranging around 13.5. And I would say the finish is well balanced. I would rate this wine a 4 out of 5. I have to share that Willamette, Oregon, the Willamette Valley in Oregon is my favorite wine region when it comes to Pinot Noir. And I think that that's one of the red wines that we have to discuss tonight. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's start with the wine recommendations. First, I want to start off with the recommendation for Gamay. Gamay has aromas and flavors of pomegranate, black raspberry, violets, soil, and sometimes banana. The regions you should be looking out for when you're searching for wine include Beaujolais, which is the best region in France. It's also a great value. One of the brands that I see often in the wine store are Love Jadot. And those wines can range from $8 and up. So I highly recommend if you want to give it a try. This wine is packed with red fruits, and you're going to get a taste of whether you're going to enjoy the high acidity that a Pinot Noir has, or the combination of the tannins and the fruit flavor. So it's going to help you discover if you prefer that kind of style of wine. Other regions to look out for include South Africa, Switzerland, and New Zealand. Now, I want to share that it is very hard to come by wines from Switzerland because oftentimes they don't really export to the United States. But when you're in the store and you're searching for Pinot Noir, keep an eye out for these regions because the regions that I always will be recommending are regions that have high quality of that grape varietal. And in this case, it is Pinot Noir. This is one of the many Beaujolais villages that have Gamay. So this one is Saint-Amour, and this is Domaine des Billards Saint-Amour 2018 vintage. And this had great reviews. Robert Parker, one of those wine critics, gave this a rating of 93, especially for this 2018 vintage. And in 2017, 90 point, and 2016, Wine and Spectator gave a 91. But what really made me drawn to this wine was that overall it had a 4.1 rating on wine.com. All the wines tonight are researched and shared from wine.com. This site is my go-to outside of shopping local, simply because they're efficient and you get a lot. Their shipping is pretty fast. If you become a member with them for the year, you save on shipping. So keep that in mind when you're shopping online for wine, wine.com. Again, so this is a wine that I recommend. I usually try to keep my wine recommendations between $10 and $45 because I believe in having budget-friendly wines where you feel like you're tasting the luxury wine lifestyle by buying these opulent wines, but on a budget-friendly wallet. So check this out. Some tasting notes include a bouquet of ripe cherries, raspberries, dried flowers, and licorice. On the palate, it has medium to full-bodied, it's broad, and layered with a core of fruit, ripe acids, and melting tannins. If this sounds like a wine that you would be interested in just simply because of the ripeness, the ripe cherries and raspberries, then this is for you. As I was sharing before, my Pinot Noir definitely was more red fruit forward. I had cranberries. As it's opening up more and more through swirling, I am also getting the hints of violets, which is the most popular floral note in a Pinot Noir. Oh, and Gamay as well. So next, we're talking about Pinot Noir. We have cherries, raspberries, clove, mushrooms, vanilla, and cranberry. 4 regions that you need to keep an eye out for is Burgundy, France, Oregon in the United States, as I stated with my Pinot Noir, and Casablanca Valley from Chile. And lastly, Marlborough, New Zealand. Now, it's hard to believe, but it's true. Wines can be produced and made in the Southern Hemisphere. Now, you have to keep in mind, right now we are experiencing winter, but they're experiencing summer right now. So all those wines are ripening right now, especially the Pinot Noir in New Zealand and Chile. Again, this is a wine region I highly recommend, the Willamette Valley in Oregon. This I researched happened to be a high rating wine. Lemonson Diaz Select Pinot Noir 2016 vintage going for $25. And James Suckling had a 93 rating, Wine Enthusiast had a 93 rating, and Wine Spectator had 91. But if you can see the vintages shared on wine.com, they're still pretty high. In my eyes, anything 92 and up is definitely worth a taste. It is worth your money and your time. For those that are not happy with the budget of 25, like I stated earlier, just look out for these regions and you are guaranteed to have a great quality of Pinot Noir. Some tasting notes of this wine in particular is dark cherries and toasted spices, and some sturdy tannins with a strong finish. So that just means there's nice tannins in their wine that kind of builds the structure that you're going to be experiencing on your tongue. Tannins often give you that drying sensation. Think of when you're drinking tea. Sometimes if you have the tea bag in for longer, you're going to experience more tannins in your tea versus if you just brewed it just for a shorter amount of time. And a strong finish, meaning it's lasting long on your palate. It's lasting longer on your tongue, that sensation. Other tasting notes of this Pinot Noir is vibrant and generous with expressive raspberry, orange zest, and tarragon flavors that allows their complexity. Now, this is a wine I have yet to taste, but this is on my radar for this winter. Lastly, I want to share the red wine that you should be tasting for winter is Cabernet Sauvignon. Now, when you think of this wine, you want to think of black tasting notes, like black cherry, black currant, green bell pepper, graphite, spices, and cedar. This is a wine that will be in oak one way or another. So you're always going to experience spices and some wood notes. So in this case, cedar is most prevalent. Regions you should be looking out for when it comes to Cabernet Sauvignon: Bordeaux, France, Napa Valley, Margaret River, Australia, and Chile. Tonight, I'm going to recommend Concha y Toro Marques de Casa Concha Cabernet Sauvignon 2017 vintage for $20 on wine.com. Again, a wine rating of 93 and 90 from Maipo Valley, Chile. When people say a great value wine for Cabernet Sauvignon, I always recommend Chile simply because you will be amazed at the quality. Oftentimes you're thinking Napa Valley, but those wines are very expensive. Those wines are easily $50 and up. And I'm not saying they're not worth it, but if you are just trying to explore and see if Cabernet Sauvignon is something you want to explore more of and you just want to give it a taste, I recommend Chile as your go-to region to start with. Notes from this wine include ripe fruit with currants and wet earth. Again, I described that with my Pinot Noir. So that has something to do with the soil. And full body, chewy and rich tannins. That means there's more drying sensation on your mouth with a round, fresh finish. So a well-balanced finish where you felt like it wasn't overpowering with acidity or alcohol content. And it's another tasting note written was that it's rich, has fleshy dark fruit flavors, saying it's like more ripe, and supported firm tannins and acidity. Notes of hot stone, mid-palate, so talking about the alcohol, and savory herbs and Asian spice on the finish. That's very specific when it comes to the spice. So that could be due to how long it's aging in the oak barrels. So those are my 3 go-to wine recommendations for winter. Well, let's recap. Gamay. Gamay is going to be more of that starter wine. If you are a sweet red wine lover, either sweet wines or you really like red wines, I recommend Gamay. And that go-to wine I recommend is Beaujolais. Beaujolais is very affordable. They can start at $7 and up. If you want to be more advanced, I recommend choosing a particular cru Beaujolais. In particular, the one I spoke of tonight was Saint-Amour. Next, I recommend Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is a favorite of mine if you like wines that with high acidity. And the high acidity makes the wine feel crisp and fresh on your palate. It reminds me of if you enjoy the sharpness of a coffee or of an orange juice, that's what acidity is on your palate. Also, it's red fruit forward. And what's nice about a Pinot Noir is it takes you a specific liking to enjoy the aroma of that wet forest floor. It's hard to describe unless you smell it yourself. So my go-to recommendation, it is more pricey, but it's totally worth it and will make you fall in love with Pinot Noir, is the Willamette Valley in Oregon in the United States. Quick mention here. I want to share that tonight's bottle that I'm drinking is a half bottle. Not many people realize you have the option to save money in buying half bottles. So say you really do want to try those Napa Valley wines that are on the higher end, look to see if your store or online shopping, they have the availability in a half bottle because you can get a better taste. This gives you 2 servings of wine versus purchasing a full bottle of wine, a 750 milliliter bottle, which gives you about 5 glasses of wine. And lastly, let's recap on Cabernet Sauvignon. My go-to region for this wine is Chile. It is a bargain, budget-friendly region where they are producing some high-quality Cabernet Sauvignon that could be compared to those of Old World, especially in France. The Cabernet experience from Napa is very high alcohol, punch in your face, fruit forward. Again, it really just depends what price range you want to explore wines under. But if you are looking for a budget-friendly region, I recommend Chile. Next, I'm going to go through the questions and answers that were submitted earlier during my social media asking. First question, what is your best tasting white sparkling sweet wine? First, I want to tackle the word sweet. Sweet in wine terms means that there's extra sugar in the wine. And that means that during the production of wine, the winemaker specifically decided to stop fermentation, which means that the yeast is eating all the sugar, stopped that so that there would still be enough. It would allow the alcohol level to be lower and allow more sugar to remain in the wine. So that's what sweet means. Most wines are dry because they want to complete the fermentation and complete to get a higher alcohol level. So for a sparkling wine that is more fruit forward, which is oftentimes what consumers and clients are looking for, is more fruit forward wines, meaning sweet in their understanding. So my best tasting white sparkling wine that has more fruit forward notes would be Prosecco. Prosecco is the region in Italy, and those wines range from $8 and up. You can find some great quality Prosecco in your local wine stores, online. And fun news is that they now released a rosé sparkling wine. So now you can have both a white and a rosé sparkling wine that is pear, peach forward notes. So give that a try. Next, does specific glassware matter? Now, it really depends on what are your intentions. For those that are just enjoying wine and really starting off in the beginning stages, glassware, the shapes, like this one in particular, is a red wine glass. It doesn't matter because you're still exploring wine. I wouldn't be drinking out of a plastic cup. I always highly recommend drinking out of a glass, whether it be a tumbler or just a regular water glass, whatever it may be. I highly recommend that you drink wine out of a glass for the reason that the way wine interacts with the glass, it sticks to the sides. All right, it's called the viscosity. And also, when you're in a glass, you can see the color clearly and you can connect with the wine a little bit more deeper than you would if it was a cup or a glass that's not see-through. Also, by having a wine glass, you will be able to experience the aromas better. So for this red wine glass, it has a larger bowl and a more narrow rim. And that's just to help the aromas escape as I'm swirling and with the alcohol. And then if you are looking for glassware to really and truly entertain, I recommend just purchasing a standard wine glass. They do sell those sets where you don't have to particularly buy white wine glasses and red wine glasses, Burgundy, Bordeaux, Chardonnay. There often are brands out there that are catering to that. If you just purchase a standard wine glass, you'll be doing just fine because you can actually compare wine better in a standard glass only because the glass is the control, right? Where you're experimenting with different wines, but you're using like the same style glass so you can smell the wines, the aromas, and taste the flavors the same way. But if you are interested in glassware that is more catered towards specific grape varietals, I recommend Riedel. They're a great brand. Sometimes you can find those glassware for a bargain in TJ Maxx, Marshall, Home Goods. I often, if you are looking for like entertaining glasses like that, I highly recommend for glassware, shop there first before you purchase more expensive glasses. What wine do you enjoy most when you're relaxing and having some me time? I have a go-to wine. My go-to wine is Relax. It's a Riesling from the Mosel in Germany. It's that blue bottle that says Relax on it. Very affordable. It's a wine that's $10 and up. That is our go-to wine staple in our home here. Also, the country that never disappoints me, if I'm not drinking a Riesling, I go to an Italian wine. My latest adventure is Sicily, and I have fallen in love with the Nero d'Avola. It is an amazing red wine that is just well-balanced tannins, red fruit forwards, great alcohol content. Its structure is just so nice on my palate. It's velvety and luscious. So if you are looking to explore a new region, I recommend Nero d'Avola. And you can find that in the Italy section at your wine stores or online. And I'm going to end tonight's live with this question: why does wine matter? Now, this is a little bit deeper question, but the best way I can explain why wine matters. Wine in this bottle and any bottle you ever had was crafted by individual hands. Grapes from the vine were harvested, crushed, and produced to create this liquid that we love and enjoy. It is an art form that a lot of work goes into, especially if you're choosing specific wine regions and wine producers that put so much work into it. My goal here on Ask Amy About Wine is to deter you from the mass-produced wines and move you on to the more crafted wines. They have a beautiful story behind the label, and every wine vintage, every year is different. The winemaker strives to make the same wine every year, right? But there are often times where it varies due to weather or to, maybe they had to harvest a little bit sooner. There's a lot of factors. So what makes it wine matter is that it's something you can enjoy and appreciate on a deeper level. And that's what this show and my social platforms are about. I want to connect you to wine on a deeper level. I want to help you choose wine with confidence and get rid of that frustration. You don't have to feel overwhelmed about wine anymore. You can choose it with confidence when you're buying it for a gift, or you're exploring wine if you're doing some self-study, if you're a student studying for a wine certification program. I'm here to be your go-to wine guide, and we can learn and taste together. And that's why wine matters to me. It is a beautiful art form that you should give a try, and you should taste new bottles all the time, because that's the only way you'll discover your palate. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on my first episode of Ask Amy About Wine. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you're catching the replay, please feel free to leave a comment and I will get back to you as soon as possible. So cheers to you. I hope you explore those 3 red wines that I recommend for this winter season. Cheers and have a great night.